Alright, ungrateful earthlings, it's time to talk about something that's seriously overdue. I'm talking about manhwa that desperately need an anime adaptation, like yesterday. From futuristic nanotech to ancient martial arts, these stories are begging to come to life on screen. So, let's dive right in. First up, we have Nano Machine. Imagine being the black sheep of a murderous cult, born with zero talent, and then, bam, your future descendant shows up, shoves some high-tech nanobots into your system, and suddenly you're the top dog. That's Jeon Yeon's life in Nano Machine. This guy starts out on everyone's hit list, but thanks to the nanotech upgrade, he's got a fast pass to martial arts mastery. With his new abilities, he's out to prove himself, take over the demonic cult, and maybe deal with a few family issues along the way. Fans of solo leveling will eat this one up. Picture the epic battles and sleek animation, a perfect recipe for a mind-blowing anime. We have Magic Emperor. Imagine being the most feared and powerful demon emperor, Shui Yifan. You've spent centuries smashing down your foes, only to be betrayed at the peak of your reign. Ouch. But our boy Shui is resilient, he reincarnates right back into the game. The catch? He's now in the body of a humble servant, bound to a young lady by a spell that makes him feel, let's say, unusually loyal. But don't worry, Demon Emperor was too ambitious to stay a servant forever. His plan? Make this declining family a top powerhouse, and maybe break a few rules and bones along the way. If you're up for a crash course in psychological warfare and a bit of devilish charm, this Manhwa's a must-read. Now let's throw some divine chaos into the mix with God's Gambit. Imagine waking up one day, and your entire city is summoned to play a game hosted by literal gods. Yeah, no pressure. Our protagonist, Choi Yeo, gets his hands on a magical book called Christina, The Sacrifice of Sovereignty. Sounds fancy, right? But here's the catch, it's a double-edged sword. The book reveals all the strategies to win the game but also hogs all the rewards for itself. Basically, it's like that one friend who helps you study but steals your snacks. Can Choi Yeo survive this deadly game, or will the book's selfishness come back to bite him? Only one way to find out, read it. Next, we have Demonic Evolution. Now meet On, humanity's greatest warrior, who wakes up 60 years after his death as the strongest demon in a human body. Talk about a rough reincarnation. With memories of his human life haunting him, On realizes that to escape his new monstrous fate, he has to keep evolving, aka fighting and surviving insane battles. Demonic Evolution brings the kind of intense, gritty fight scenes and existential crises that would make any anime lover's heart race. Then there's Return of the Mad Demon. Jahali, also known as the Mad Demon, is that guy. He's unhinged, obsessed, and has zero chill about becoming the strongest martial artist ever. But when he steals a treasure from the demon cult, they chase him like he owes them rent. His genius escape plan? Jump off a cliff. Fate decides, "Not so fast, buddy!" and sends him back in time to when he was just a nobody innkeeper. Does he take this as a sign to live a peaceful life? Nope. He's back at it, determined to become the ultimate martial arts badass. This manhwa is wild, hilarious, and packed with action that'll keep you flipping pages like your life depends on it. Next up, Questism. Imagine your life suddenly turned into a real-life RPG. Sounds fun, right? That's what happens to Sahayan Kim, your average gaming geek who hates school. He's just wishing his life was more like one of his favorite web novels when, bam, a quest prompt pops up in real life, promising him a reward. Well, he's got nothing to lose, so why not? One quest leads to another, and before you know it, Sahayan goes from the school's punching bag to the guy calling the shots. Questism adds a unique spin to the typical bullied kid becomes OP story with its real-life quest system and unexpected laughs. Sahayan's journey from zero to hero is full of twists and comic relief that'll keep you reading. Coming next, we have Jungle Juice. In Jungle Juice, a whiff of bug spray doesn't just kill insects, it turns people into insect-human hybrids. Enter Suchin Jang, a kid who's part man, part dragonfly, and 100% determined to survive in this twisted society where mutated folks are shunned. He finds refuge in a college town for the insectophede called the Nest. With Tokyo Ghoul-esque vibes, this story's got everything: insane action, wild powers, and surprisingly heartfelt moments. In an anime format, the colors, insect abilities, and wild battles would make it a visual feast. Third on our list, To Not Die. Warning, this one's intense. Im Dajuan is at the end of his rope. He's been bullied so relentlessly that he's ready to give up, until he sees an interview with a guy who took revenge on his tormentors. Inspired, and maybe a little unhinged, Dajuin decides he's going to fight back instead. But let's just say, things don't go according to plan. Now he's expelled, disowned by his family, and left to fend for himself on the streets. Talk about a rough start. This story is gritty and raw, with a dose of exaggerated violence that somehow makes it all the more cathartic. The Way to Not Die tackles bullying hits hard, and you'll feel Dajuin's desperation with every chapter. It's a dark and thrilling ride, so if you're up for something more intense, this is the one. Moving on, we've got the Divine Twilight's return. Slaying gods and demons might sound like a dream job, but for Li Changxian, it lands him on trial for his celestial crimes. Sentenced to death, he's offered a second chance by none other than Thanatos, the god of death. The catch? He's got to play by some pretty strict rules back on Earth and slay gods once more. This manhwa is a wild mix of humor, intense battles, and deep character arcs. If you love stories where the hero gets a do-over, this one's for you. Next, we have Return of Manhwa Sect. Chung Myung, the legendary sword saint, sacrificed himself to defeat the ultimate bad guy, Kianma. But plot twist! He reincarnates 100 years later in the body of a kid. And let me tell you, the Manhwa sect he remembers? Yeah, it's now a sad, broke shadow of its former self. Cue Chung Myung's comeback tour as he hilariously drags his sect back to greatness. Think of it as Extreme Makeover, Cultivation Edition. The comedy is top tier, the characters are downright lovable, and the action? Chef's kiss. If you're not reading this, you're missing out on one of the best cultivation stories out there. Next up, we have I Am the Fated Villain. Who says every MC has to be a hero? In I Am the Fated Villain, Gu Chunga wakes up in a fantasy world and realizes two things. 1. He's the villain, and the world's protagonist has sworn to end him. 2. He's ridiculously handsome, filthy rich, and has a system to milk the hero's luck dry. Talk about a glow-up. While the hero is out there plotting revenge, Gu Chunga is chilling like, "Oh, you hate me? That's cute. Get in line." Add some dramatic betrayals, swooning ladies, and VIP treatment wherever he goes, and you've got yourself a chef's kiss manhwa. Coming next, we have The Greatest Estate Developer. This isekai manhwa follows Kim Suho, a civil engineering student who gets transported into a fantasy novel and wakes up as the lazy, spoiled noble Lloyd Frontera. Rather than charging off to slay dragons, he starts fixing up infrastructure. Yep, our guy is here to build roads, bridges, and his own legacy. With laugh-out-loud humor, like gym-obsessed orcs and over-the-top facial expressions, The Greatest Estate Developer is an absolute riot and would be pure gold in anime form. Another classic, Spare Me, Great Lord. This one's a riot. When spirit energy returns to the world, everyone's scrambling to harness it. Everyone, that is, except Lu Shu, who just wants to protect his sister. Thanks to his negative emotion system, he gets stronger by annoying people. The result? One highly sarcastic, Great Demon King, who trolls his way to the top. Over 600 chapters of comedy gold and serious action is what awaits you here. Next, we've got Legend of the Northern Blade, the ultimate tale of revenge and redemption. Jin Muwan, son of a betrayed martial arts leader, grows up in isolation, training in secret. When he finally breaks free, he's out to avenge his father, restore his sect, and take down the corrupt elites that tore everything apart. This isn't your average revenge story, it's packed with character depth and philosophical questions. With anime-worthy fight scenes and an art style that's pure eye candy, Legend of the Northern Blade would be a surefire hit. Next, we have Apotheosis, elevation to the status of a god. Luo Jing, now a humble slave, was born as the eldest son of a wealthy family. Due to his family's decline and the kidnapping of his sister by a powerful force, he can now only be stepped upon by others. However, heaven never seals off all exits. An ancient book left by his father reveals a secret divine technique, giving the reader immense power. But what is behind this power? This is an awesome manhwa where the MC fights relentlessly against fate. If you did not read this cultivation manhwa yet, then kindly start reading right now because it has like a 1,000 plus chapters. Coming up, Mercenary Enrollment. Here's one for the action junkies. Our main character in Mercenary Enrollment is a high school student, but with a twist, he's a highly trained mercenary. It's classic double-life drama as he tries to blend in at school while still dealing with some, extracurricular activities, on the side. Balancing algebra with action scenes? Easy, if you're a mercenary, that is. Watching him juggle friendships, school, and his not-so-ordinary job is strangely satisfying, and the mystery of his past makes the story even juicier. This manhwa keeps you hooked with its mix of high school drama and intense mercenary action, and you'll love seeing how our hero handles both worlds like a pro. Next, we have the beginning after the end. This manhwa is a hidden gem you don't want to miss. The story follows a powerful king who spent his life fighting for his country. After being assassinated in his sleep, he reincarnates in a new world with incredible magic power and swordsmanship. Now, he's determined to live a fulfilling life. This manhwa is packed with action, adventure, and beautiful artwork that makes one crave for its anime adaptation. We have Volcanic Age. Meet Ju Seocheon, a guy who's basically lived through Murim, the soap opera edition. He's survived chaotic wars, climbed his way to becoming a respected elder of Manhwa, and oh yeah, he's drowning in regret. On his deathbed, he's all like, "Man, I should have done things differently." And guess what? The heavens were eavesdropping. Boom! He gets a second chance at life. But will he use it wisely or just screw things up again? With stunning art and a storyline that's both heartfelt and gripping, Volcanic Age is a must-read. Prepare to cry, cheer, and occasionally roll your eyes at this emotional roller coaster. We have Latna Saga, Survival of a Sword King. Meet Hanbin Ryu, a former soldier who just wanted to vibe after leaving the military. But nope. He's tossed into another world with a guideline, aka game-like system. Sounds cool, right? Except there's a slight, bug. His guideline is basically a broken calculator, leaving him stuck in tutorial mode for 20 freaking years. Imagine grinding in a tutorial for 2 decades. No loot, no levels, just vibes and frustration. When he finally escapes this purgatory, he realizes everyone else is in Otherworlded too. Can he survive in this strange world? Or will his training from tutorial days help him? You'll have to read it to find out. Next up we have Eleceed. Created by the dynamic duo who brought us Noblesse and Girls of the Wilds, Eleceed is equal parts action and pure heart. It follows Jaiwoo, a kind-hearted speedster, and his hilariously grumpy mentor Kaden, who just so happens to be stuck in the body of a chunky cat. Their chemistry is unmatched, the action is explosive, and the humor is top-notch. An anime adaptation would be the perfect blend of heartfelt moments, high-stakes fights, and adorably ridiculous scenes. Next, The Reaper of the Drifting Moon. Imagine wanting to explore the world, only to be kidnapped and forced into assassin boot camp. Sounds like a dream, right? No? Well, that's Pyeol's life. His dreams of backpacking across the Murim are crushed when he's thrown into a pit of life and death training. Now, instead of snapping selfies, he's snapping necks. The Reaper of the Drifting Moon is dark, intense, and brutal, basically, everything you secretly love in a Murim manhwa. The tension is so thick, you'll need a machete to cut through it. Seriously, don't read this at night unless you enjoy staring at your ceiling, questioning your life choices. Next, we have Damn Reincarnation. In this manhwa, our main character is the dumbest member of a hero's party. However, he was the most loyal dude who knew his strength and weakness. Unfortunately for him, he died in the final battle while protecting the hero. He then got reincarnated in the future, as a descendant of the hero, only to find out that his companions didn't kill the Demon King, but instead had a peace treaty with the demons. For our MC, who was a genius even before reincarnating, he is determined not to waste this golden opportunity to become stronger than the hero. Thankfully, his current body seems way better than the previous one. This is an underrated manhwa with awesome artwork, even though the storyline is nothing new in the industry. Lastly, we have top-tier Providence secretly cultivate for 1,000 years. Alright, OpMC fans, this one's for you. Meet Hanju, the king of Loki badasses in top-tier Providence, secretly cultivate for 1,000 years. Reincarnated into a cultivation world, Hanju gets a system that lets him roll for an overpowered cultivation physique. So, what does he do? Spend 11 years gacha grinding until he hits the jackpot. Big brain energy right there. Fast forward 1,000 years, yes, he's still alive, and the immortal world starts messing with the mortal world. Hanju decides, well, guess I'll show these so-called gods what real power looks like. If you love slow burn power-ups and MCs who casually break the universe, this manhwa will have you hooked. And that's the list. Which one's your favorite? Did I miss any hidden gems? Drop a comment and let me know. I'm always on the hunt for more recommendations. And hey, don't forget to like, share, and send this video to that friend who's always saying, "What should I read next?" You're welcome. Until next time, my royalties, peace out.